Hey there, welcome to this week's episode where Makaila and I review the 1990 classic Pretty Woman. And this is another one that I hadn't seen before, and you were like, "You've never seen Pretty Woman?"
It's a classic rom-com.
It is. I have gone almost 36 rotations around the sun.
Yes.
Without having watched it, and I was born a year before this movie was released.
And I guess, in your defense, this is one of those movies maybe you wouldn't see unless your mom was forcing you, because by the time you had cognitive abilities, you would never pick this movie yourself.
That's true, and you made this comment when we decided to review this movie, it's that I've had girlfriends before, like how none of them forced me to watch this.
I mean, to be fair, we've been together since 2018.
This is true.
And this is the first time you've seen this movie.
It's never come up.
Yeah.
Despite being a classic. Well, let's dive into our breakdown of the movie.
Pretty Woman is about a successful businessman who hires a local sex worker from San Francisco to keep him company during a week of high-stakes meetings. Both of them bite off a little more than they can chew in getting involved with each other, coming from very different worlds despite their growing feelings for the other.
It was released on March 23rd, 1990.
The movie's directed by Gary Marshall, who also directed another Julia Roberts and Richard Gere movie, Runaway Bride. He also directed the Princess Diaries movies and Valentine's Day. And I know you hated Valentine's Day, but I kind of love it, maybe in a guilty pleasure sort of way.
That's fair.
So it stars Julia Roberts, and I feel like she kind of ruled the movie scene in the early 2000s and 90s. Of course, we have this movie. She also was in Steel Magnolias, which I told you need to be careful watching because of the whole diabetes portrayal, but if you want to tackle that one, we can do that. Gosh, that movie is so loved, and that might be one of the ones that I don't get the hype on, but that's a different podcast.
We're not reviewing Steel Magnolias.
No, we've lost all 2 listeners. Then there's Runaway Bride, which, as I said, stars her and Richard Gere as well. Hook, My Best Friend's Wedding, Aaron Brockovich, Ocean's 11, and maybe one of my more enjoyable roles for her, Stepmom. I don't know if you've seen that one, but pretty good. And we have her co-star, Richard Gere. Of course, a long-standing career, but I'll be honest, I don't think I recognized much of his work until Pretty Woman. And my absolute favorite work of his is Chicago, where he plays Billy.
Oh, the tap dancing lawyer?
Yes. Phenomenal. Do we mention the gerbil thing, or do we want to skip that and go to Jason Alexander? I feel like maybe the man has suffered enough.
What gerbil thing?
You don't know the gerbil thing?
I don't know. What's the gerbil thing?
So, I think it was maybe started in the 80s or the 90s. So he thinks, and I say he, Richard Gere thinks that this rumor was actually started by Sylvester Stallone.
Okay.
Rocky, because apparently they hate each other.
What a weird feud, but okay. What did Sylvester Stallone throw out into the ether?
Richard Gere was in the hospital, and allegedly it became known that the reason he was in the hospital was because of something called gerbling. Which basically...
Wait, did South Park make fun of this?
They may have. I think I
saw the South Park making fun of this. I did not, at the time, know who Richard Gere was or who this was about, but I've seen the South Park, because they stick a hamster or gerbil called Lemmy Winks in someone's ass, and there's a whole song about... Oh my... That's him?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let's move on before we get in trouble.
Well, anyway, nothing bad about Richard Gere. If anything, that speaks more about Sylvester Stallone if he started this. Shame on you.
We're not taking sides on this 30-year-old beef. Anyway, who else was in this movie, dear?
We also have Jason Alexander. And where to begin for Jason Alexander? He has credits that I feel could go on for pages. There's, of course, that little-known show, Seinfeld.
Never heard of it. No, everyone's heard of Seinfeld.
And then he did a few TV appearances over the years on shows like Malcolm in the Middle, Everybody Hates Chris, Community. He has done a fuck ton of voice acting, though.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was surprised. I didn't realize... I knew about Hunchback of Notre Dame. But other than that, I wouldn't have been able to point him out into anything. And
That's fair.
he's done a ton. And then he and Richard Gere teamed up again in the movie Hachi. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
No.
It's pretty cute. There's a dog. Definitely makes you cry.
Oh.
And we also have Hector Elizondo and Larry Miller, and they play very, I don't want to call them minor roles, but they're not lead cast. And yes, they also have many roles to their name, but we see them again after this movie in Princess Diaries together, and it's just perfection.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to fight you on it.
Good, you better not.
I won't.
Good.
So according to what I could find out, I tried my hand at doing a little bit of the research to help Makaila out this week. This movie holds 8 wins and 11 nominations across the board. They have an Academy Award nomination for Best Leading Actress for Julia Roberts, of course. A BAFTA nominations for Best Actress, Best Costume Design, Best Film, and Best Screenplay. Julia Roberts did win a Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Comedy, or Musical, and the film won People's Choice Award for Favorite Comedy Motion Picture. And according to what I saw, Julia Roberts also won a Kids' Choice Award for Favorite Actress, but
This movie?
that might be an IMDb error, because, like, why would the Kids' Choice Award have a movie about a sex worker? She got a blimp. She has a Nickelodeon blimp, and I hope it's not for this movie.
What year was it?
1990? Oh, 91. It was the 1991 Kids' Choice Award. I don't know. There's just something about, like, you play a sex worker, then you get slimed. There's a joke there somewhere, but you brought up the you brought up gerbling. Don't you act all high and mighty on me. Alright, anyway, let's dive into the actual movie itself. So we open up at what looks to be some very fancy rich person's party. Jason Alexander, who I did not recognize his name when he came in. My note says short, funny guy in a lot of things. He's actually the first person we see. He walks by someone doing magic tricks for some woman. Someone's trying to do magic tricks for a woman to, like, impress her, and he is striking out. I don't think that's ever worked, but that's not important.
Big Bang Theory hadn't come out yet. We didn't have Howard Wolowitz to tell him that that's not how you get the women.
Then we see our main character. He's kind of away from the hubbub. He is on the phone with, we find out, his girlfriend. They're fighting. Very clearly, him and his girlfriend break up, and he walks
Was that clear?
It becomes clear later. At the time, I think we both weren't sure if it was his girlfriend or his assistant.
Yeah.
We learn this is Ed. This is the hero of our story. He is apparently just this big shot. He is leaving a party, and this woman walks up to him, apparently an ex-girlfriend of his, and she's married now. And as she's telling him about how she's married now, she is flirting with him. She is throwing herself at him like, well, I had to get married. I couldn't wait for you forever. And it's like, oh my God, lady.
I don't know. For me, read more like just telling us that he has commitment issues.
But yeah, it probably establishes this guy's not good at relationships, between breaking up with his girlfriend, who on the phone was like, I can't be at your beck and call all the time, and then, and exactly what she said.
Women, am I right?
You said it. Anyway, Ed tries to leave the party. Jason Alexander, what's his name in this movie? Phil.
I'm glad you figured that out. All right, I'm out. You enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Phil stops him, like, hey, where are you going? You can't leave this party. And Ed's like, I'm fucking gonna.
Yeah, it's like, if you leave this party, all of the Riz leaves with you. Like, no one's gonna stay for me.
But Ed leaves anyway. He takes Phil's car, but it's a stick shift, and he can't drive it.
Right, he's basically just like, I'll figure it out.
Spoiler alert, he doesn't. He's really bad at it. And we get a shitty 80s theme song.
So we see Ed heading towards Hollywood, and I guess maybe I just didn't know much about the actual area. It just looks real sketch.
Yeah, it's the bad part of town. We see a few establishing shots of things you probably don't want to be involved in, and sex workers soliciting and stuff. Ed's very clearly lost. He doesn't know where his hotel is. And we cut to Julia Roberts Roberts, the alleged pretty woman herself, waking up and getting dressed in her apartment, ready to go do, I guess, some sex work. She goes to go down the stairs the normal way, but the landlord is there collecting rent, and she's like, ah, shit.
Fire escape.
Fire escape it is. She has $2, so she's gonna avoid the landlord.
We go to a scene with a detective, Hank Azaria. Like, I know him from about a million voices in The Simpsons. I was not expecting to see his face in this. I guess I had just forgotten.
But one of her fellow sex workers is dead. She's in a dumpster, and she's pretty sad about it.
What the fuck?
You didn't get that?
She's pretty sad about it. Dead sex worker? Or Viv?
Viv. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts' character is named Viv. We don't find this out yet. But yes, Viv is very upset that one of her cohorts has died.
I thought you were like, this sex worker's dead, and she's very sad about it. Like, yeah, she's fucking dead.
I'm sure if she could feel things, she'd be very sad about it. No,
Anyway.
Viv is sad about it.
So we cut to the bar. We meet Viv's roommate and friend, Kit, and she's clearly a mess, this woman. And I feel like she's meant to come off as a fun disaster, but initially she really just straight up comes up as a disaster. She's stealing. We find out she's the one that took Viv's money. That's why she only had the $2. She was stealing it for drugs. She starts skimming the cocktail toppings for a snack.
Oh, yes.
Just like reaches over the bar like, I'm
all the orange
entertained.
slices.
Yeah. It's like, okay, lady. Sure.
Yeah, Kit's a mess, and they're talking about how they can't really drum up the money to pay rent despite their soliciting. They talk about maybe getting a pimp to pick up business, and Viv's like, nah, that's a horrible idea. And I'm like, yeah, good on you.
Yeah, she's like, nah, because then we don't call the shots. That's the one thing, like, this movie is very positive about sex work, which is great.
Yeah, I was not expecting that from a 1990s film.
I feel like they started really strong with Pretty Woman, and then they just continuously went downhill as society got more progressive. The perception of sex work got less progressive.
I don't know. We cut back to Ed, who cannot drive this car for shit. But he's also lost, so he stops to ask for directions. And of course, he stops by Viv, and Viv and Kit kind of point out, like, ooh, nice car. And Kit's like, you go. You get this one. I believe in you. He just asks for directions, of course, demands $10 because ain't nothing in life for free.
Right.
Ed's like, well, do you have for a change for a 20? And she's like, oh, for 20, I'll take it personally. And she just climbs in the passenger seat.
Right. Ed is still driving this car very terribly, and Viv grew up down the street from Dom Toretto, so she's like, you know what, get out, let me drive, you don't know what you're doing. And
I half expected her to steal it, like when he was getting around to the other side. I was like, she's gonna take the car, it's gonna be great. She doesn't.
Any other movie than a rom-com, yes, that is what would have happened, absolutely, because they needed the money.
Yes, don't let sex workers drive your car.
But more than the money, she needed love, and stuck around.
There's the summary.
Tells us that your foot is as big as your arm from your elbow to your wrist, which is... I did not know that.
Yeah. Neither did Ed, because he's staring at his arm, like trying to do the math in his head, and it's kind of funny.
I was staring at my arm. I'm like, is that true? Do I have to, like, hold my forearm up to my foot and, like, measure?
Yeah, I think we both stopped taking notes to look.
Yeah.
They talk a little bit about Viv's rates as a sex worker, and that's not coming off as judgmental, which, again, is more progressive than I would have expected for the year 1990. So they're talking about her rates, like I said, and Viv says, oh, I'd charge $100 an hour. And at that rate, Ed's kind of considering sex work himself. He's like, shit.
He says, pretty stiff. And she grabs his crotch and says, no, but it's got potential. So, you know, sex joke, eh?
What do you expect? But they get to the hotel. She gets out. She says, I'm going to wait for the bus. And Ed kind of gives her this longing look. He's really thinking about it. And he's like, you know what? I'll give you the $100. Go up with me. And because they're going into this fancy hotel and she is not dressed for it,
no.
He gives her his suit coat. And she kind of walks in looking like Sherlock Holmes. It's a good look. They get, of course, all sorts of looks. Everyone knows exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, they put the coat on her, but they don't zip it, so you can still fully see her outfit. It's just now her shoulders aren't exposed because dress codes, I guess.
Yeah, she gets ogled by the elevator clerk and like this old couple waiting for the elevator, and Ed kind of has to like give everyone a look like, hey, cool your jets.
Right, that's mine.
Yeah, but then they get up to the penthouse, and Viv is very clearly floored by this hotel room. She has probably never been, you get the impression, ever been in a room this nice before.
Right. I mean, looking around, I've never been in a room that nice before, so...
Legit.
While they're in the room, he asks if cash is acceptable, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. This is the 90s. How else were they gonna pay? I don't understand. The payment was cash, or
check.
He was gonna write Viv a check?
Yeah, a check. It's cash or... Again, this is pre-PayPal. You can't PayPal someone or Zelle somebody for this.
Cash is the only option. There is no cash or check. You're literally getting paid to sleep with somebody. I want the money in my hand. I'm not even looking at you until you pay me.
Yeah. So she goes into her boot and pulls out just this bevy of condoms of all sorts of colors, and she's like, what do you want? Pick your poison. And he's like, well, let's not jump right into this. Let's talk first. He needs the emotional connection first, maybe. Who knows? And when they got to the hotel, he wanted champagne and strawberries brought up, which is, of course, brought up. The room service guy waits around, and Viv, like, is ready to fight him. Like, what the fuck are you still doing in here? And he's gonna be like,
why are you staring at me?
Wait, no, we gotta tip him.
She's like, oh yeah.
Again, she's never been in this situation. And it's kind of a sweet gesture, because we find out he doesn't even drink. He just had champagne brought up for her.
Right, he just wanted her to experience it. He's telling her to eat the strawberries and then drink the champagne because they pair nicely together. You know, it's just like, he wants her to be just as comfortable with everything as he is, which is probably a change of pace for her. He decides he might want her to stick around for longer than an hour, so he asks her what the rate would be for the whole night. So it's $100 an hour, $300 for the night? That math is not mathing.
Well, it's like a bulk rate.
That is a hell of a bulk rate.
That's a good deal, because a whole night's like...
That's like a full-time job. That's 8 hours at least.
Yeah, that's 8 hours. But, I don't know, maybe she's assuming he's gonna fall asleep after the first time. I don't know.
But she was still gonna stay?
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know. The math ain't mathin'. And then she tells him that she stopped doing drugs when she was 14, which is like, you stopped doing drugs when you were 14?
Yeah, she got into them real early.
When did you start?
Yeah. So he pays her $300 and then starts doing work at a desk.
He's like, all right, I got a job to do.
So she's watching I Love Lucy, and like this is very weird. And my first impression's like, oh, he's just being nice and like wants to do something nice for this woman. He's gonna just let her stay in this hotel room and watch TV.
Right, he's like Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah, but like he's still staring at her. He's giving her the eyes, and she kind of notices, and she crawls over to him, and you're just like, oh no, it's business time. I was wrong. They are going to do stuff. She buttons his shirt. She mutes the TV. She keeps looking back over at the TV, though. She's really into this episode of I Love Lucy.
I mean, you can't have a good show on while you're doing the business.
No. And like a professional, she puts a cushion down.
Yeah. Well, it's for her, not for him.
I know. It's like, that's a nice detail for some reason. Like, she thought about it, and I appreciate that detail.
This movie didn't win awards for nothing.
People's choice. Anyway, so she takes off his shirt. He kind of asks what she's up for doing, and we get the kind of stereotypical line, she'll do everything but kissing on the mouth. It's too personal.
Which is fair.
Well, yeah, sure. And he also thinks that's fair. He's not looking to get emotionally involved. Ha ha ha, we know what kind of movie this is. And what's very clearly a blowjob ensues. We smash cut right to Ed in the shower. He gets out of the shower. She is fast asleep, and he is back to work.
Yeah, there's no stopping this man.
He wastes no time.
No. He was like, alright, that was good. Now back to the stuff.
That was lovely. I'm afraid I'm busy. And then it's morning.
She wakes up and he has ordered this very nice breakfast for them, and she was kind of just gonna hit the road and get going. But this scene kind of bothered me a little bit, if I'm being completely honest, and maybe for the weirdest reason. Why is she only eating dry foods?
She eats a pancake like it's a piece of toast. She has no syrup with it.
Croissant, pancake, no syrup, nothing. It's just carbs on carbs, but there's no... Like, and she didn't take a sip, and I understand this is a movie, but, like, the mouth dryness, I don't know. I didn't care for the eating scene. They didn't give her orange juice. Okay, I'm just...
Maybe they did it between takes. It's fine. It's fine. She's not wearing her blonde wig that she's been with this whole movie, and Ed sees her natural red hair, and he likes it. She asks him questions like, what do you do? You're not a lawyer, you clearly have money. And he buys companies and sells them, which is just the most... I'm sure that's an actual job. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure this is an actual job. But some writer was like, what's the most pretentious rich dude bullshit we can give this guy?
Yeah, like, how do we make him sound like the biggest asshole ever?
Right, like... And it's established like, oh, I don't make anything. I contribute nothing of value to society.
All this money.
And I'm just billions of dollars. And of course, as he's doing this, she ties his tie for him. It's like, oh, you rich asshole. You can't even tie your own tie.
He doesn't know how. I think he's allowed to have flaws and money. It's okay. They do it a lot better in this movie than other movies we saw. He's allowed to have his flaws. I think it was a very sweet moment. It allows her to kind of open up to him a little bit and say that, you know, she knew how to do that because she was so close to her grandpa and she used to do that for him. Like, it's just, I think it's a very, like, sweet moment.
Yeah, it's kind of the first, like, romantic moment between the two of them.
Yeah.
She asks if she can take a bath before she leaves, and he's fine with that. He's been very chill about this whole ordeal, to be honest.
Right, mi casa, su casa.
Yeah.
Penthouse is su penthouse.
Yeah, he gets a call from Phil, his short friend who has no riz. We find out his short friend is also his lawyer, which is like, you shouldn't mix business and friendships. And we'll find out why later. And Phil, short lawyer, says he has a business meeting with some guy who's just a real hard ass. And for some reason, he's like, you can't go alone. You need a date.
Yeah, why?
Which, it's such excuse plot. There's no good reason for him to just bring a girl to this business meeting.
This business owner doesn't bring his wife.
Brings his grandson.
Right, he brings his grandson. Like, there was no reason. Why couldn't Phil go?
Right. What it does is it really gives us the excuse for the rest of the plot, where Ed just kind of approaches Viv and like, I got a business offer for you.
In the bathtub, Viv is singing Prince, and she's got headphones in. I think she's probably listening to a CD on a Walkman.
Ah, yes.
And Edward just walks into the bathroom casually. Like, I guess he figures he's paying for this, so he doesn't need to follow.
He's very comfortable with this woman, and I understand that they had...
We've been married for 4 years, and, like, I'm gonna come in and just, like, chill in the bathroom.
Yeah, like, he's very comfortable with this woman. I understand they just had sex, but it's like, you don't know her last name.
Yeah. And she just smiles up at him, like, very romantically, and I'm like, I would be screaming because he just walks in. Like, there's no alarm. She's just like, hey, how you doing? Like, I would be red alert like a murderer had just walked into the bathroom.
To give her the benefit of the doubt, though, as a sex worker, she probably has to deal with a lot of weird personal invasion stuff. So the business proposition. He wants her to stay with him for the whole week, go to his fancy business meeting. They haggle a little bit, and they settle on $3,000, plus he's going to buy her some fancy clothes for all the fancy stuff she's got to do.
Yeah, 6 full nights and days too. And again, the math ain't mathin'. That does not seem like enough. I understand the clothes and all of that, but like, that just does not seem like enough to me.
Well, yeah, but she's also getting like meals and room and board.
No.
Okay.
It's not enough. So she heads to Rodeo Drive for some nice clothes, and I feel like every single rom-com, why are the store attendants in these movies such bitches? Like, they're always the worst. Like, even, you take Legally Blonde, right? That's another rom-com.
Yeah.
They're such bitches. They're legit trying to give you business. They're trying to, like, practically throw money at you. Fuck off, you twat waffles.
Yeah, they will not serve her. They kick her out of the store.
Yeah, like, it's not even not serving her. They're like, you can't be in here.
Yeah, they, like, get out. And she's understandably kind of shaken by this. We get some sad piano music, and she goes...
That's how you know
she's sad. The music tells us. So she goes back to the hotel, and the staff has given her shit, too, because now Ed's not there to, like, run interference.
Yeah.
And the manager kind of comes over to her and gives her the third degree.
At first, yeah.
At first, saying that, you know, she's not welcome here after Mr. Lewis leaves. This isn't that kind of hotel.
Right.
And she kind of tears up and tells this guy that she couldn't buy clothes, that she's, like, a guest of Mr. Lewis's, and she doesn't even know his last name at first. She has to kind of cajole it out of the elevator clerk. But the manager takes pity on her and calls a department store.
Yeah, he softens up, I would say, significantly.
He gets some this is the quickest face turn in history.
Yeah.
Like, he goes from asshole to, like, kind of the hero of the story very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And he coaches her into saying that she's Edward's niece. And he's like, oh yeah, he's your uncle. You don't have any other uncles here, right?
Yeah, he does her a solid. He calls a department store and gets a sales rep that he knows. He's going to set her up with some nice clothes and sends her on her way. And she's very pleased with this. And, you know, there's a little bit of a bond that's been established.
Yeah, and the manager's name is Barney. I think we forgot to say.
Yes, Barney. He is just the bro of the movie. Real solid dude.
Yeah. We get this sweet moment where Viv is back in the hotel room and Edward calls her and she answers the phone because the phone is ringing. The phone is ringing.
You have an obscure song for every episode.
There's an animal in trouble.
What is that from?
What?
I know the cartoon, I just don't remember what it was called. The Wonder Pets. Gotcha.
Anyway, and yes, I do have an obscure song for everything. Anyway, he calls her on the phone, she answers, and he's like, don't answer the phone. She hangs up, he calls her back. He's like, I said don't answer the phone.
She's like, stop calling.
Right. And he tells her that they're going to this fancy restaurant, and now this has created this whole other slew of issues because she's never been to fine dining. She has no clue what is expected.
Right. So who does she go to? Her new best bro, Barney.
Yes.
They go to the closed hotel dining room, and he is explaining, like, the various different books to her.
Right. Yeah, he's helping her out.
Yeah, it's nice. So Ed comes back from his job. We do see a little bit of his job where they're going to be buying up this company. But Phil is kind of like, they're going to want more money because they've got Navy contracts. And Ed, who apparently is just more powerful than God, is like, oh, I'm just going to call this senator and fuck up their contracts.
Right. I still have, I think, very little grasp on what exactly his job is because now we have the federal government involved.
Not even involved. They're in his pocket.
Yeah, like what is this job? What degree do you have to get?
It's just being a Nepo baby, I think, because he got the company from his dad, I think they established.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. So she is waiting in the hotel bar for at first he doesn't even recognize her. He's very blown away by how she looks in her fancy clothes.
Yeah, he's like, what in the world? You don't look like a prostitute. I gave you money for clothes and you got clothes.
Someone understood the assignment. I don't know. She comes up to him. We get a little kind of cute moment where she's like, you're late. And he's like, you're stunning. And she's like, you're forgiven. And it's like, But more importantly, not only do they eat, they meet Morse, who is the business owner that Ed is actively trying to fuck over. She goes to the bathroom and Ed's like, oh, do you want me to order for you? She says yes, and this apparently is just the biggest mistake of her life because she struggles through this whole meal.
Well, it's like, I think he did it on purpose, if I'm being completely honest. I think he was trying to be silly and just ordering her things that he knows that she's never seen, let alone, like, eaten.
Diabolical.
Yeah, like, she gets snails. There's, like, this dessert, and she eats the leaf because she's never had it.
She goes to crack one of the escargot with this weird, and I've never had escargot, this weird apparatus for, like, cracking the shells, and the escargot is flying and nearly hits this chef. He's like, oh, it happens all the time. And it's like, no, it doesn't.
I think Edward did it on purpose, if I'm being honest. I think he was trying to just be, like, a little silly.
Oh, man, we're getting into the lore. Or wild theories, Pretty Woman. So Viv's having a rough time at this dinner. So is Ed, because this Morse guy who is I guess his company's failing. He is not about this business deal.
No.
He is threatening Ed like he's going to tear him apart. And his grandson kind of just sits there and agrees with Grandpa, like, yeah, get him, Grandpa. He's like the Gary Oak. Like, yeah, you're a loser.
And the grandson is also a little enamored by Viv.
Yeah, he's making eyes at her. And she, of course, is very uncomfortable through this, because she's just the guest here, and this old guy is, like, just threatening her date. She, like, does not know what she should do with herself.
Right.
But the meeting ends badly. Morse and his shitty grandson kind of just storm off. So they go back to the hotel, and they kind of have a bonding moment because both of them are in a business where your feelings can't interfere with it, which is an interesting comparison, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree.
And we get a wonderful line from Edward, which is, "We're the same. We screw people for money." Just like, man, what a romantic.
That is pure romance. We find out that Edward and Viv both have some childhood wounds that they are getting over. Edward hasn't seen his dad in 14 years.
And that was after finding out his dad had died last month.
Yes.
They just never spoke in that time, and now his dad is gone.
Yes. Which is, I think, maybe what's going to end up happening with me. So, I don't know.
Welcome to an impromptu therapy session.
I'm not going to get too deep in it, but watching this scene as a 14-year-old and watching this scene now as, like, an adult with, yes, daddy issues. It was just like, oh man, this could be me. Not, with all the money and everything.
Just gonna start buying up businesses and selling them.
It made me relate to the character.
And I will say, we never see, like, guys with daddy issues in movies. Well, I mean, you do, but, like, not like this. It was like, oh, switched it up a bit. Respect.
Yeah, no, they're usually, like, the ones who are beating their wives and, like, drinking at 9 a.m.
Alright, that's fair. So he goes to get some air, and he is just gone for a long-ass time, because now it's like 3 a.m., and Viv's kind of sad. She's like, where's my man? So she goes down to the hotel bar.
Edward is now Phantom of the Hotel, playing piano at 3 a.m.
Yeah, in the closed hotel bar, the staff is cleaning, and they just don't care.
Yeah. He just kind of does what he wants.
He's tearing it up on this piano. He can do anything, apparently.
Yeah, and then Viv comes, like, he sees her, and he just tells the staff, like, hey, can you guys get out of here and give us a minute?
Like they listen to him.
Yeah, and they do.
And they leave so that they can have sex on the piano?
Listen, I don't know that the staff knew that was what was gonna happen.
She was in lingerie.
Okay, that's fair.
When she sits on the keys, you kind of know what's going down.
Yeah, they're not going to be playing some weird ass piano.
I mean, they're playing ass piano, but it's kind of just a side effect.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Making love on the piano. And then at some point they just went back upstairs.
Yeah.
Because we cut back to the next morning.
The staff had to finish cleaning the bar.
Around 4:30, they're like, look, you guys can't stay here. You have to take this upstairs.
We have a job to do, damn it.
We have to sleep at some point, too. So Ed's like, all right, you got to go buy more clothes. And Viv's answer is essentially, but they were mean to me.
Yeah, those bitches.
So Ed's like, all right, I will go into work late, and I will go shopping with you. Which is like, all right, that's a stand-up thing to do.
Yeah, and we finally get a little montage with the song Pretty Woman, which it would be such a waste to name your movie Pretty Woman and not include this song.
They go to a store, and Ed basically tells the store owner, like, I am going to drop more money than God on your store right now. I want you kissing her ass.
Yes.
And you bring her anything she wants. And they do. And at one point, they bring her a pizza, which is like, that is good service. And at one point, this guy starts kissing up to Ed. He's like, no. Not me. Not me. Go kiss up to her.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, shit. Okay.
Right. And then he has to get back to work. And so, you know, he just tells the shop owner, like, she has my card. And he's like, and we'll help her use it, sir.
And boy, does she.
Yes.
She comes out of this store holding just a billion bags on her arms. She looks like a southern widow because she's got one of those hats that has like a little veil.
Yeah.
Not like a funeral veil, but it's got like the veil all around. And it's like, yeah, she looks like a southern woman whose husband just died and now she has all his money.
She looks like it too.
Yeah, she does. But she hits that store that was mean to her yesterday and she just lets them have it.
Yeah, she's like, you done fucked up, A.A. Ron.
Yup. She's like, look at all this stuff I bought. I just spent so much money and you get none of it.
Right, she's like, you get paid on commission, right? Yeah.
She goes back to the hotel and Barney sees her and they smile at each other. And it's just kind of like this feel-good moment because he's like, yeah, you get it, girl.
Yeah, he's like, thank you for not having your exposed fucking shoulders in my lobby.
Yes, you clean up good. Ed's at the office. We cut to that, and Phil tells him that Morse is going to counter their offer. And Phil, his assistant lawyer, skis bag friend, says, hey, we can tear these guys apart. But Ed hesitates. Does he want to destroy this old man's company? He doesn't know. He spent 2 days with a prostitute, and he's questioning his whole worldview.
Yeah, he's going through changes. I'm not gonna sing.
You reserve that for Wonder Pets. At one point when Viv was shopping, she looked at the store clerk's tie and was like, I want that tie. I want the tie off your shoulders. They give her the tie. So we cut back to the hotel now after Ed's job. She is waiting for him in just the tie. And it's like, oh man, that's a fucking power move.
She naked. And then we have some Kenny G by candlelight. That's a mood.
Right. She has good customer service.
Yeah, you're in nothing but a tie with some Kenny G. Yep.
Would you question your whole worldview for Julia Roberts in a tie?
Julia Roberts in the 90s and the 2000s, absolutely.
Anyway, we get it's halfway romantic, halfway awkward, where they're in the tub together. This giant penthouse looks like a hot tub, bathtub. She is in there and he's like laying against her, like back to her chest, and she's washing him, which again is intimate, but also like, is this just like, hey, I'm paying you, are you gonna wash me? Like, I don't know how he asked for this.
Right. Is this part of the job or is this like something more?
We don't know the context, but he's kind of venting about his backstory, his lore. We get Ed lore in the tub.
More Ed lore.
More Ed lore. The deepest Ed lore. Deepest lore. Anyway, we get Ed lore. Mom was a music teacher, married his rich dad. Rich dad left mom for another woman and took the money with him. And then mom died.
Yeah.
That's the Ed lore.
Sucks, bro. And
Ed hates his dad. And honestly, the way he describes his mom, he might have some Oedipus issues, especially the way Viv is cradling him like a child. I don't know.
I don't know if that's fair. We don't know enough about his mother and their relationship.
Yeah, this is armchair psychology. I'm speculating.
Big stretch. No.
Big stretch.
So the next day, they cut to horse polo.
It's just polo. As opposed to Marco Polo?
Hush.
Okay.
Oh my god. I don't know why I said horse polo. So they cut to polo. And this scene, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you've never seen My Fair Lady.
I have not.
Okay. Shame on you.
I'm the worst.
Shame. But this scene felt very, much like a nod to My Fair Lady. My Fair Lady and Pretty Woman are kind of similar. They're both based off of a similar story, but I feel like My Fair Lady focuses more on like transformation, and Pretty Woman focuses more on the love. But in My Fair Lady, they are at a race and they're watching the horses and they're singing, and it's this very like uptight, rich, hoity-hoity people, and this like Cockney British woman is like trying to adapt into this society. So this felt like a very nice nod to that.
Okay. Well, my note here says at one point as they're walking into Polo, Ed tells her to smile, and I'm like, he just lost all credibility. He's a misogynist.
You were like,
Fuck this guy.
You don't tell Julia Roberts what to do.
You don't tell any woman to smile, especially not Julia Roberts.
Right.
But he wants her to make a good impression. There's business people here. They have to mingle. Obviously, that's why he's saying that. Because they gotta rub elbows with high society. This is all part of the game.
Right. We meet these women who are like basically telling them, be careful with that one. Like he basically has commitment issues, and she's like, I'm not trying to land him, I'm just using him for sex, which is
right. They make a face like, oh, I like this one. But yeah, they call her like the flavor of the month.
Right, which is like, okay, thanks. You know what every woman wants to hear.
Like, oh, that's so nice. And it's like, what is this guy, James fucking Bond? Like,
right.
There's just Bond girls.
So we see that Edward is trying to introduce Viv without obviously saying like, hey, this is a sex worker. And so he jokingly tells someone that she's in sales. I think he was talking to Philip, right?
Yes, he was talking to Phil.
Yeah, and this Philip, why was he talking to Philip? And Phil is gross.
Phil is gross.
Have seen through the movie that he's like a skeezy guy. This just solidifies that he is the worst.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this doesn't solidify that he's the worst. There is another scene that does that.
Yeah, no, he gets worse.
He gets worse. He gets worse than this.
We should clarify that Phil is there with his wife. We see Ed introduce Viv to Phil and Phil's wife, and they make a comment about Phil's wife being frigid. But later, Phil coaxes out of Ed, finally gets him to admit that, like, she's a hooker. And Phil's reaction is to go up to her and like,
proposition.
Yeah, like, hey, when you're done with Ed, like, I'd like to meet up with you sometime. Right. It's like, you are here with your whole ass wife.
And obviously married men can do shitty things, but the fact that he is there with his wife, she is, 10 people away from him.
Yeah.
Like, it is not that he's real fucking bold.
Oh, yeah. And, like, not good bold, either.
No, like, he does not care. He's very selfish.
We learned during the horse polo match that one of the jockeys is David Morse, which was, the business guy's grandson, who is essentially Gary Oak. And Viv sees him and asks, oh, hey, nice to see you again. And he kind of is just trying to woo her over. He's like, come look at my horse.
Yeah, he's very enamored with her still, and she talks to him because she's friendly, but it also seems like she may be trying to, like, help out Ed a little bit. Like, be nice to the grandson and maybe...
Yeah, she's looking out. She's being a good employee. He kind of refers to her as an employee a lot, honestly. Yeah. So I guess employee.
They get back to the hotel, and Phil's actions basically ruined the whole damn day. Because now they're fighting.
Yeah, she's mad at how Phil treated her.
Right, and she essentially took it to be that... Ed was just going around telling everybody, like, she's a hooker.
Yeah, she says she feels cheap, she feels used, she feels kind of furious that she was dolled up, and, like, it felt like she was being pimped out. She belongs to no pimp, and if he's gonna act like that, she's gonna leave.
Ed kind of tries to talk to her a little bit. Obviously, he doesn't want her to leave. And so he starts asking her why she got into this in the first place. And she talks about her friend Kit and says she was a hooker and made it sound so great, which is, I don't know what you could possibly say that would make that sound like #1 job goals.
Right, especially in the 90s. I don't know.
Yeah, like, you'll get slapped around, you might get beat, you get $100 though, so that's nice.
If you're not on crack, you probably won't die.
Right, like, it's just, what did she say that made it sound so great?
Right, I don't know. But she's upset, and she demands her money. He throws it on the bed, but she leaves without taking it. And he notices, and he's kind of impressed by this. He's like, damn, that's a baller move. And he goes out to apologize before she can get on the elevator. He's like, look, I was stupid. That was cruel of me. I don't want you to go. She's like, well, why? And he admits he didn't like seeing her talk to David Morse. It kind of made him jealous.
Right, and he's trying to kind of like build her up and make her believe that she's worth something, and she tells him, you know, people put you down enough, you start to believe it.
So she's like, all right, you hurt me and you better not do it again. And she goes back to the room. And, you know, it's kind of like a fucking communication in a 90s movie. You don't see that.
Right. That is one thing about Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. I think their on-screen chemistry is just so good. It's so believable. That's probably why they had them do another rom-com together. Because they work so well together on screen.
Yeah, I can see it. So they go back to the hotel room and just immediately they're at it again. They're bum-ass naked and just going to town. And then we got to Ed going to work early the next morning. He kind of lets Phil have it. He's like, don't go disrespecting my woman in different terms, but and Phil kind of is like, whoa, okay, man, sorry, God. They have tickets to a black tie affair. It's there, dressed to the nines. They're looking real fancy. And apparently, when you're rich, jewelry stores will loan you expensive-ass necklaces, apparently.
Yeah, I think they kind of assume you won't take it to the pawn shop.
But if you do, you're good for it.
Right. Like, they assume that you got enough to cover it.
Yeah, and we kind of get, I think this scene is kind of like well known where she's looking at the jewelry box and kind of shuts it on her hand and she laughs.
Yes, that is like a very, and oh my god, I love her laugh. I'm just like, she has such a great smile and such a great laugh. You're just looking at me like, yes, go on about how in love you are with Julia.
I was going to say, you have the floor if you want it. Like, is there anything you'd like to tell Julia Roberts? I'm sure she's listening. Anyway, they're on the elevator. An elevator clerk, and it's been the same elevator clerk the whole movie. This guy works hella hours. He ships them real hard. You can tell he's loving seeing their relationship develop.
Oh yeah, he's writing fanfic.
Enemies to lovers, 100,000 words, slow burn. The whole hotel kind of looks at him like the whole staff is shipping him real hard. Like they're all rooting for him.
The manager is like, oh yeah, uncle and his niece, what I like to see.
You.
I ruined it.
It's okay. So they're getting on a plane, a private plane. This guy is killing the ozone layer, taking a big swing for Julia Roberts. And they fly to San Francisco, which you made the comment, like, isn't that close?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that close? Let's look it up really quick. I didn't even think to.
Yeah, is that worth a plane ride?
It's a 5-hour drive.
Oh, it's okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, yeah, a little 5-hour drive, a little hop over in the plane. Okay, maybe he's vindicated then. The movie is safe.
Is he though for a private jet? Because let's 5 hours and 47 minutes. Like
that's a
tip
long
of
drive.
Ohio to the UP. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but they're going to spoilers. They're going to the opera. You gonna drive 6 hours?
Drive to the opera.
Yeah, but he's got to be back for business shit.
I drove to Niagara Falls.
But you didn't come back the same night for business shit.
I could've.
They get on a private plane, they go to San Francisco, and they go to the opera. And I kind of get the feeling, like, what if she fucking hates it? They're singing in Italian. No, she loves it. She's tearing up. Can't understand a word, but apparently the power of music and Italian love story. And like I said, this is a real big swing by Edward. This is either like a make or break gesture for a relationship.
Yeah, and it's a very nice, touching scene, and you don't have to understand the words to feel the emotion.
That's how I feel whenever I do Duolingo.
And also to mention, because we apparently have not, Edward is afraid of heights. So the thing is, if you're afraid of heights, why do you rent the penthouse? Because it's the best. You're afraid of heights. Why did you get the seat?
The balcony.
Thank you. Why did you get the balcony? Because they're the best. He has this very, clear mentality of, it may scare the shit out of me, but if it's the best, it's worth it for me. And keep that in mind.
That's a special tool we'll use for later. They get back on their private plane, they're back at the hotel, and Ed is teaching Viv how to play chess.
We don't know that he's teaching her.
This is true, she could be teaching him.
Yeah, they're playing chess.
They're
We
playing
don't know.
chess. I felt like they were explaining it.
Maybe they're explaining it to us.
That's true.
Maybe Bobby Fischer hadn't gone missing.
Chess lore. Anyway, they go to bed. Ed wants to sleep. Viv's like, you know what? You should take the day off tomorrow. And that was apparently enough.
Yeah, he's like,
He's
oh
like,
my god, I've never thought about
I've
that.
never taken a day off in my life, and I own this company.
Right.
But apparently there was business stuff to do because they cut to the office and they tell Phil that Ed took the day off. He's like, fuck!
This business stuff, I'm just picturing some, like, little kid being like, business.
That's how they portray his job. Whoever wrote this, like, clearly didn't know much about business, so they just were like, he's in a company that buys companies and then sells the companies in chunks, which is like, is that a fucking thing?
Anyway.
So they take a day off. They play hooky together. They read a book in a park. They go to a bar and have a hot dog. They have a snuggle in the taxi. This looks like it's probably the best day of Ed's life. They're just doing, like, really low-key stuff.
Yeah. And then...
So he falls asleep, and they make the joke earlier in the movie that he doesn't sleep much, and we can see why. He's really bad at it. He's, like, sitting up.
Sitting up, there's, like, not even a pillow behind his bed, and it's like, yeah, we can tell you don't sleep much because you're really bad at it.
Yeah, he needs more practice. Viv kind of geeks out about him doing this, like, oh, he's so cute. Then she starts kind of smooching on his face, and then she just straight up
starts smooching on his face.
Well, then she fucking just Snow Whites him and kisses his mouth, and it's like, that's against the rule, and he is not awake for that.
Yeah, that's a little problematic.
Yeah, she just fucking Sleeping Beauties him. But he wakes up and they just start smooching. It's fine.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he's cool with it.
Right. No, that would be a totally different movie.
Now, in the immortal words of Tenacious D, it's time to make some love and fucking give her some smooches, too. They have some more romantic sex than what they've had before. They are spooning. Viv drops the I love you, and it's like, ooh, girl.
It's been 5 days.
It's been 5 days.
I guess money will do that.
She has been wooed really hard in her defense. Ed does not say anything about this, which kind of gives you that, like, uh-oh.
Commitment issues.
He didn't say it back. He
says, thank you? No, just kidding.
He could have pulled the 70s show and just said, I like cake.
Could have pulled an Amanda show and said, I like eggs. No, just kidding.
How many more references can we throw into this episode? Smash cut to morning, and Ed is lamenting that this is their last night together. And he says he wants to see her again, and then just proceeds to completely fumble Julia Roberts in the worst way. And by fumbling her, I mean, he's like, I can set you up in an apartment with a car, but he's not saying that she's going to be with him.
Right, it kind of just sounds like he's keeping her on the payroll.
Yeah, like this is, like, she's his concubine.
Yes, like, and notably, too, it only comes up once, but her last name is Ward, so it's like he is kind of making her his ward.
Oh, I wonder if that was on purpose.
It probably was. I doubt it was accidental, but it is just like yeah, shit, he's trying to keep you.
Yeah, he's trying to keep you, but, like, he's not loving you the way you're loving him. And
right.
she picks up on this. She's got the street smarts. Because he heard what she said, and he kind of tells her, this is the best I can do right now. And he's like, oh, I never treated you like a prostitute. And she's like, you just did. And that is a mic drop moment.
Yeah, it is.
The walking disaster herself, Kit, comes to visit at the hotel. Viv had left her some of the money for rent, like, on day one of this, and Kit just dropped the ball and waited to go get it.
No, didn't she say that, like, she had to get away from
Yeah, someone was in the hospital.
She had to get away from what's-his-face. Yeah. I took such good notes for this movie.
They were incidental characters. They don't come up. They don't matter. There was someone who wanted to be their pimp earlier in the movie, and I guess he did something, and she got wrapped up in that. Kit's had her own plot line that they just dropped. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. She comes to visit, and she immediately pegs that Viv fell in love with the Mark, and she's like, he's a Mark.
No, his name's Edward.
But she, after, ribbing her for a little bit, like, oh, I bet you kissed him on the mouth too, you fucking amateur. And Viv's like, I did. But after a little bit of ribbing, like I said, Kit's actually pretty supportive. She's like, girl, shoot your shot. And Viv's like, but this doesn't happen. And Kit's like, oh, yeah, it does. Name somebody. And she can't. But she's like, yeah, bitch, do it. We cut to Jim Morse. That's the old guy. We actually I don't think we got his name up until now.
Just his last name.
Just Morse. They're meeting with all their lawyers, and Morse is going to cave. He is going to give Ed everything he wants, but Ed, of course, has had a change of heart. He wants to talk to Jim alone, and he's like, they're Jimbo. He has a real Jimmy Neutron moment.
Jimbo.
Ed proposes a partnership with Jim Morse. He does not want to buy the company any longer. He wants to do, we're not privy to what this is until later, but he essentially offers a partnership that will save Morse's company and allow him to feel better about what he does.
Yeah, he's not doing his job in like a shithead way anymore.
Yeah, they come to a gentleman's agreement. They shake hands on it, and Ed's like, all right, the lawyers will finish this up. You tell them what we agreed to.
And what's his name? Phil? Pete? Who's the lawyer?
Phil.
He's in the hallway, because they kicked him out of the meeting as well. He's in the hallway just losing his shit.
Right, he's beside himself. Phil finds out that the agreement was they're going to build ships together, which is not something Ed's company does. I don't know how that works. Maybe he's just... Because Morse's company built ships, we find out. Maybe he's just funding this. Maybe he becomes like an investor. I don't know. Who knows?
He's going to be out there with like a forklift.
No. Well, he's not certified. You gotta be forklift certified.
Oh, yeah, not fair.
Yeah, you don't want to end up with a forklift accident. Phil's gonna have a stroke.
Phil does not have a stroke.
He does not. It'd be better if he did. Ed is outside walking barefoot in the grass for some reason.
He's literally grounding himself. Yeah.
I thought he was just thinking about how he fumbled Julia Roberts.
Nah, he is one with Mother Nature.
It can be both.
He is one with
Mother Nature. Okay. He must be doing this for a long time because, like, as he's out with Mother Nature, touching grass. Yes, he's touching grass. Oh my god. Phil is at the penthouse before Ed, so Ed is touching grass for a long time.
Yes.
And he kind of just lets himself in when Viv opens the door. He came to see Ed, but he's so pissed and he's blaming Viv. He's like, you made him soft. But we really know she made Ed hard. Anyway.
Are you proud of that one?
No.
Also, real quick. He comes to the penthouse to see Edward. Did he not pass him on the way to come see him?
That's true.
He was outside walking in the grass. He had to have literally, like, beelined past him, staring at the sidewalk or some shit. Like, just... How?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. But, like...
No,
yep. The whole movie sucks now. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, he is just being a real dick. He reminds Viv she's a hooker, and then...
Lest she forgot.
It's kind of his attitude about it, honestly. Then he just full on starts sexually assaulting her. He's grabbing her legs. He slaps her. Ed shows up heroically, which is great. He punches Phil right in the goddamn face.
Yeah.
Right in the nose, and you're like, yeah. Deserved. Kicks him out, and Phil's like, we've been friends for 10 years, don't throw this away for her. And he's like, bitch, watch me, get out.
Yes, and we all clap.
Yes. Ed is taking care of Viv, icing her cheek. She kind of gives some funny lines about, like, what do they teach you guys how to slap in high school? How do you always go right for the cheek? It makes me feel like my eye's gonna explode. And it's like, oh, yeah. You get slapped around a lot. That's sad. But through Phil's ranting, Viv found out what Ed did with Morse, and that's when Viv tells Ed that she's proud of him.
Yes, and you can just see his inner child is weeping and, like, healing on camera.
Yes, it's very sweet, and it is the next day. Viv is all packed up and ready to go, and Ed doesn't want her to go. And Viv kind of lays it all out on the line for him. She wants the fairy tale. She tells him about, like, when she was a child, her mom used to lock her up in the attic, which is like, girl, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like some Carrie shit.
A little bit.
She had a prayer attic.
Like Sling Blade, maybe. You got, like, the person in the attic. One of those two. Somewhere between Carrie and Sling Blade.
Yeah, you know, those two very similar pieces of work.
Yes. They are both classics. That I've seen. I've seen those classics. Hey. But anyway, she wants the fairy tale she used to imagine when she was in this attic, that she was locked in the tower, and a knight on his white horse would come up and waving his sword and rescue her. And Ed's very hesitant about this. He just can't commit himself to go all the way with that. So he pays her, he thanks her, he gives her his business card, says, "Call me for anything." She leaves. Roll credits. No, I'm kidding. There's more. There's more. Doesn't end on that sad note. Technically, she is supposed to say the one last night, and he asks her to because he just wants her to. She's like, I cannot do that. So she leaves. So she sees the hotel manager on her way out, and contrary to his bullshit from earlier, he's like, "I hope you visit us again sometime."
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah, that delicious character development. We get her cab ride home. She's very sad. She looks like she's about to start sobbing. We see Ed out on the balcony of the penthouse, also looking sad, and a storm's a brewing. But then it's the next morning. It's time for Ed to leave too, and catch his flight back to New York.
Yes. Before he leaves, though, he goes out on the balcony of his penthouse, which he started to do, and I think we kind of credit that as the audience to Viv.
Right.
She's, brought out this new person, and he goes down to the lobby, and the manager tells him it must be difficult to let go of something so beautiful, which is just, such a nice line.
Well, he says that as Ed gives him that necklace that needs to be returned to the jewelry store, but you can tell he's not talking about the necklace, he's talking about Viv, and I was like, aw.
Yeah. It's just a very sweet moment. And it kind of just gives into this moment as well of the manager letting Edward know, hey, the driver that's driving you to the airport knows where Viv lives because he took her home yesterday.
Yeah.
So, stop being a dumbass and go see her.
Yeah, and he does. We cut to Kit and Viv. Viv is moving out of Kit's place. She's going to go to San Francisco. But I guess the opera was really great and she wants to live there. And she's going to
go back to school.
Yeah, she's going to finish high school, make an honest living. She gives Kit a little bit of the money that Ed had given her. Says, you get out of this life. You make something of yourself. You've got real potential, Kit. Kit kind of tears up because that's really nice of her. And we get Ed taking the detour from the airport. He is at Viv's apartment. He is standing in the back of the limo, which is a white limo because of course it is. He's got flowers. He's waving his umbrella like a sword, and it's like, they're not really all that similar, but kudos to you for trying. It's sweet. It is the romantic climax of the movie. He is climbing up the fire escape. He is going to whisk her ass away to New York. He is in it to win it. The whole ass fairy tale. He is very afraid of this fire escape, as we've said. He is afraid of heights. We cut to Daryl, the limo driver, who thinks this is just the greatest thing he's ever seen in his goddamn life.
It kind of is. He's giving her that fairy tale. He's coming to get her.
Yes, he is.
Sweet.
It is sweet. They smooch on the fire escape, and that's the movie.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. That's where we cut off. It would have been nice to be like, come to New York with me. I don't know.
Did we need that? I think they ended it just where they needed to. We can kind of probably assume.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes less is
more.
more.
Never mind. I hope not, because she had all these plans to go back to school.
Well, you can get your GED anywhere.
Yeah, but she had plans.
Her plan was to go to San Francisco and get her GED.
Yeah, and what, she's gonna drop it for some dude?
She is in love. That's the whole point of the movie.
Yeah.
She Snow Whites him. She fucking Snow Whites this man because she loves him. She breaks some rules. All right, so what you've seen this before. It is a classic. What do you think? How would you rate it?
I think I would give it maybe like a 4. I don't know. Rating movies out of 5 is sometimes so difficult because I feel like giving it a 3 means you kind of thought it was shit.
No, I feel like giving something a 1 or 2 means it's shit. 3's not bad. 3's mid.
3's mid?
3 is mid.
Maybe like a high 3.
3.5?
Yeah,
you can do half.
I didn't hate it. Mm-hmm. I think I enjoyed it more now than the first time that I watched it, probably because not as many jokes went over my head this time.
Right.
I do have to say, I think out of all the Richard Gere, Julia Roberts movies, all 2 of them that they've done.
All both of them.
All both of them. I still think I prefer Runaway Nothing against this movie, of course. I just maybe liked the plot a little bit more, but this movie is just so quote-worthy and just fun. It's solid plot. The romance is believable. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe 3.5 might be too low, but somewhere between that and a 4. I don't think I'd give it like a solid 4.
3 3/4.
Sure.
Okay. All right. I think I'm kind of with you. I might even go so far as to give it a 4.
Yeah.
Just because I've been around. I've seen a lot of rom-coms.
You've been around, eh?
I don't know how to respond to that. I've been around. I've seen a lot of rom-coms in my time, and most of them are just schlock. I feel like I think rom-coms aren't usually good, and this was enjoyable.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you.
Well, that's fair, but I feel like rom-coms are maybe like the easiest type of movie to make.
Which is why they're usually so damn good.
I disagree. But even whether they're good or not, a lot of them can be cookie cutter, and I didn't think this was cookie cutter. I thought there was a lot of really nice parts to this. There was a lot more sex worker positivity than I would have thought for the 90s. So, I'd go so far as to saying this is a 4 out of 5.
Okay, that's respectful.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time when we will be reviewing the action movie Face Off.
Which, again, I don't understand how you haven't seen.
I have not, but here we are. All right, see you next time, everybody. Bye.